Lisa here, Vera Bradley bag of the day. I decided to pull out a more current bag style and pattern. It's still retired, but it's not like more of a vintage piece. It's more current. This is the, oh God, I never remember the order of the words in this bag style. I think it's iconic Deluxe Vera Tote, and this is the small version. It came in a small and a large. I have both. I got them on the online outlet sale, and they were just such a fantastic price in the outlet sale. I mean, because these were sort of a little bit more expensive than just the regular Vera Totes. Peaches, I need to sorry. And I really love this bag. I was a little hesitant about the pattern at first. The pattern is Falling Leaves, which was, I think, 2017, maybe fall. Get it good there. I was a little on the fence about the pattern, not crazy about it, but I liked the bag. The bag looked very nice, and so I went with the pattern, figuring, well, it's olive green in the back, and the light's a little weird right now, but it's coming in a little dark, but it is olive green. And I wear a lot of camo and a lot of olive green coats and stuff, so I figured it would go, and it probably, would go with some red. The reds or the pinks would pick up, it'd be picked up, so in clothing, if I wore it with that. So I figured for the price, it's a good gamble. And I just love it. Initially I liked the bigger bags, and I do still really like a big bag in general. I love schlepping a lot of stuff with me. Bag lady. And the dimensions in the small, I don't know how it compares to the regular small Vera. I don't have one of those. I tend not to like the smaller Veras, the regular smaller Veras. I don't know, I guess I feel like the pattern, the fabric is often very cut up by the bag style of those, which the straps go all the way down, and that interrupts the pattern a lot more. And I don't think it does the fabric any favors. So the one that I did order in Daisy Dot Paisley, I returned because you just couldn't see the fabric in any nice way. It's 14. Let's see, 14. Probably about 12. Maybe when it's flat, it's probably 14. Also, 13 to 14. The strap drop. It's a good strap drop. It's got a little length to it, so it's easy. It's easy to work. 12. The straps are a little bit on the thinner side, I think. 1 inch. So, a couple things that I just really like about this bag. And I get everything in here that, I normally get. I'm always emptying my bag in the video. GPS, iPad mini, wallet. I have to change that up for a little variety. iPad, pod, phone. There's a nylon. This is the nylon lining now, not the cotton anymore. And there's a zip top, but no zip pockets, slip pockets here. 6 slip pockets. I don't know if I can get some light in there. I do like the lining on these little dots, these multicolored dots. And it does have oh, look at that, I never even noticed the Vera Bradley label. In there. And it's got some kind of charger pocket thing in there. I never use those. Sometimes I'll stick a Metro card in there if I'm back home in New York visiting my dad in Manhattan. I do like this longer end of the zipper pull. It makes it very easy to close. You don't have to sort of fish around for something to hold, to pull the zipper. It's not the fabric anymore, the zipper pull, which is a shame. I think these pleather accents are just so god-awful cheap looking and feeling. And it's just a matter of time before this thing's going to snap off. I mean, and I'm going to have to end up getting a piece of ribbon and putting it in there. I mean, I'm sure it's a manufacturing cost kind of thing. I mean, it must be, I don't know if they have to put those ribbon pulls on by hand or whether they have a machine that does it, but it just seems like you got to manufacture that ribbon pull, embroider the logo on it. And that's probably more expensive than this. Anyway. So what I like about this versus the regular small tote, or just tote in general, is the construction is slightly different. Okay, I mentioned the straps don't go all the way down. So you've got this panel up front. This is it has a little flat pocket. Ooh. Always lists everywhere. Shopping lists. So that's nice. The back also has that slip pocket and a slip pocket. The other side of that there's another slip pocket in there, I think sort of has to do with the charger pocket from the inside and the grommet, the hole with the grommet around it, the cord. So it's nice that you don't have that strap on either side, the bag straps going down, because like I said, that really does interrupt the pattern. So you get more of a feel of what the overall pattern is like, and I really like that. Another thing that I like are these, I always like an east-west pocket, because I feel like it gives the bag sides a curve and a softness that the totes that just don't have the pockets, they don't have, that in combination with the side seams. This bag doesn't have a side seam. This is the piece of fabric. I don't know exactly where the seam is. Maybe it doesn't even seem to have a seam. This whole piece here is just a piece. There's no side seam bisecting it. And when you have that side seam, the bag tends to stay more like this. It forces the bag to have more structure because there's that sewn seam there. The bag doesn't have the softness. That's why I really love this bag, and that's why I don't remember whether I got the big one first or the small one first, but when I got them in separate sales, and whatever one I got first, I just loved that right away. And so I thought, oh, I'll get the other size too. I just love it so much, and I use them both. I just love that curve here, so that the bag doesn't stay like this and always look so just out of the package, kind of like it's been flat for a while. What I don't like are these metal zippers. I mean, at least the top zipper is the soft zipper. But I mean, when a pocket has this metal zipper, it almost becomes like invisible to me. I'll ignore the feature. I won't use the pocket because it actually scratches my skin putting my hand in and out. It's only under, like, if I really need to put something in there, like when I travel to my dad's, I'll take the bigger one and I'll load it up with stuff, and then I keep it on the passenger side of the seat in the car while I'm driving. And then when I get to New York, I always think, oh, well, I better not leave anything in my car because I park on this street. I don't want to leave anything that might be tempting or someone to just try to break in just for the hell of it. So I take out all the loose change that I keep in one of my drink cups. And this is a good pocket to put that in. In the bigger bag, I'll just dump it all in there. And then when I'm going back home, I'll put the change all back in my car for the ride home. But this metal zipper, I mean, it's just the worst. And if it's on a bag, if it's on the top of a bag, like with the Carson Hobo, or even though I do love the Carson Hobo, or the Carson shoulder bag, it's just so irritating for me, especially on the Carson shoulder bag. And you know, I have a lot of hand knit scarves and things with delicate fabric. I mean, it just pulls. You have to be super careful if you want to put anything in that pocket that's of a delicate fabric. Every time I do it, it's annoying. So just sort of, I don't use the Carson shoulder bag all that much. And when I do use a Carson hobo, because I do like the hobo, you know, I don't take any of my pretty scarves with me. I just don't do it. The other thing that I do love about this bag, though, is the quilt stitching pattern. I really wish that Bradley, is turning into my husband who calls it Vera Wang, Vera Wangley. That's his latest version, Vera Wangley. It's getting close, getting closer. I wish that they would offer more options, more variety in the quilting pattern. And you can see here, it's very nice. It's not squares or diamonds at all. It's columns. It's a very linear. On the side, it goes in the other direction, so there's some contrast. You know, the stitching on this pocket is horizontal, but on the bottom here it's vertical. It's even through onto the bottom. And I just think that this particular stitch pattern makes it look more modern. I do think the diamonds and the squares tend to, especially when they are the bigger ones, not the micro squares, I think it does have a more old-fashioned look, and I think that this is just more interesting. It's nice for variety. Again, I'm sure it's a manufacturing cost thing. They don't really have a lot of variety in their quilt stitching patterns, but when you think about it, when you see what hand quilters do, you see the variety that's out there and what you can do with stitching, with stitch patterns. I mean, I think it's a missed opportunity. It could be swirls, and I mean, it really could be something, but I'm sure that would not, be cost prohibitive. So that's probably, why they're not doing it. But that's something that I really love about this and the larger version of this, which is in the same pattern. It seems like it was only made in this pattern and maybe a solid. I think it might have come in black, but I think as far as a printed pattern, I think this was the only one that it came in. I mean, I do like this pattern more than I liked it in the photo online. I think in person it really it benefits from seeing it in person. But again, it's funny, I was in Steinmart a while back, and they sometimes have Vera discounted, more recent stuff. And they had a couple of just your regular totes in this pattern, but with the diamond or square stitching. I can't remember. It wasn't micro, it was just a regular stitching. And the fabric looks more dated. This kind of stitching really helps the fabric. I mean, it really sets it off. It makes it just look a little bit different, a little bit unique, and a little less dated. So that would be a big wish on my Vera wish list. That's really one of the top wishes, I think, is for them to just sort of maybe consider playing around with the quilting patterns, I think. I mean, this is just gorgeous. You just can't, it just looks so rich, it just looks kind of luscious. And the bag just has a very, I don't know, like lush feel. There's something very rich about the feel of this fabric, and I think the quilt stitching with the thread, the columns of thread close together is creating that feeling. It's altering the way that the fabric feels, and the way the bag feels in your hand just changes it. So that would be my wish. I wish for Vera I changed the quilting, but the quilt stitching, but you can see it. It's a nice, good size. Very pretty. So that was my bag of the day, and since it was a more recent one, I figured I would do a video because I know I've been doing a lot of what I call the vintage. So I wouldn't call this vintage because this to me is just retired because it doesn't have the coordinating trim. But I do. I really like this. So pleased, and couldn't beat the price. I don't remember what the price was, but I know it was a good deal because these bags were over $100. The Deluxe ones. So that was my bag of the day. See ya.